Meeting is being recorded.
Okay. So now we have here titanium buff, burnt sienna, burnt umber, and cadmium red light. So we're going to do the roof. There are two ways of doing this roof. We can do one by one, the sections, using earth tones, and meanwhile changing the color when we're using earth tones, meaning I'm using burnt umber and burnt sienna. I'm going to put one here. And while I'm putting this color, I'm going to start from here. I can change a bit. I can take more of the burnt sienna at this point and less of the burnt umber. So while I'm painting each one of these, I'm going to change the color. Even a little bit of red over here. Now I'm going to take the other one. Let's say I'm going to take now burnt umber. Put one here. Go up. Burnt sienna. So I'm doing each one of them separately. I'm going to take red with burnt sienna. Put it here next to the dark. So this is one way, putting colors separately on each one of them, trying to do a variation of colors separately. Or we can do this. Forget about this, separating them. Start with one color. Go all the way. Change here. Change again here. So no separating. It's just a mixture of different colors. And I'm always keeping, for my first layer, I keep my colors dark because I want to leave room for highlights and for the putting drawing a pattern in there over this. So if I start with light or bright orange or bright red, I don't have room to highlight. That's it. The highlight is there. It's done. If you try to put highlights over a highlighted area, it looks way, way too light. Okay, let's do this. It's going to dry darker, which is great because that's what I want. I want it to dry darker. I'm going to let it dry. Let's take a bit of darker color, put it here. Okay. We're gonna let it dry. Now, this is dry. So I'm going to take burnt umber on use a round brush, just burnt umber. And I'm going to kind of place randomly, doesn't have to be exactly the same, the pattern I had on the roof. It really doesn't have to be exactly the same. Let's see. This is good enough. I don't want too many. I'm going to put a bit of brown at the bottom here because the rooftop is casting shadow over the wall. Okay, now I've done this. I can still use the same brush or, go a little bit bigger, round brush. And I'm going to take the same colors. Shall I stop for a minute? Do you want me to? Shall I pause, ladies? All right, so now I'm going to mix titanium buff, burnt sienna, and I'm going to put a touch of red in it so it doesn't turn too pink. And I'm going to, with a brown brush, I'm going to come here. This is where the highlight usually is, mostly although we're not doing anything realistic right now, but it's nice to put a bit of highlights on top here, top part. Okay, so I'm going to change, and I could use also I'm going to change this to burnt umber and red and a bit of titanium buff. And I'm going to come here and put suggestion of, again, slats or tiles. Let's do the same right here. It doesn't have to be that light, but since we're working with this color, let's change a bit. Take some red, put it here. So I try to change every couple of brush strokes, change the color. Try to do that just to give it some interesting look. Again, now another color that will look really, really nice here as well is yellow ochre. With these colors, if we mix a bit of yellow ochre in here, it will give it a very interesting look. Let's do this. Yellow ochre. Now we can take a bit of yellow ochre, red. Makes it like an orangey, earthy, orangey color. And then I'm going to come here. Let's take this one. I still can see the orange or the reds, I should say, underneath. I can still see them. It's not like they're completely gone. But I'm just changing color a bit, making it more interesting while putting those slats in. So we started with a mixture of different colors all over the roof, let it dry, and then we're highlighting over that one. I'm going to highlight this a bit, just a bit. Another thing we can do while we're doing this is take red, burnt sienna, a bit of burnt umber, so a beautiful earthy burgundy color. I'm going to do the door. And let it dry. Also, I'm going to do the bottom of the boat. Okay, let's take a tiny bit of more burnt umber and just paint the bottom of the boat to give it more, to anchor it more. I'll let it dry and then I'll highlight the top with a bit of more of the red in here. That one here, the door, I'm going to do the same. I'll just take a bit of more burnt umber and down at the bottom. Darken it a bit at the bottom. Again, stick red, burnt umber, or burnt sienna, I should say. More red, a little bit of titanium buff. So I'm showing more red here. I'm just going to come here and just put some slats. Meanwhile, change my color. I don't want all of the slats to look red. So halfway, I added more burnt sienna. Let's do more. Let's take this combination. little bit lighter. Beautiful. All right, let's pull in. A little bit of reds with burnt sienna, titanium buff, and let's do this. That's a long one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to vary my color. So again, I added a bit of more of the burnt sienna at the end and more of the red burnt sienna and titanium buff at the beginning. This is yellow ochre, titanium buff, and burnt sienna. And now I'm going to do the same with that one here. Make my slats tiny bit smaller, narrower. Switch my color to halfway through. Switch my color to orange, or it's red and burnt yellow ochre. And really, that's it. That's all we need to do. There's nothing, it's very simple. It just needs a bit of patience. Let's highlight a little bit in different areas, especially the rooftop. Let's take a bit of yellow ochre mixed with a tiny bit of red and titanium buff. And I'm going to come here, give this tiny bit of highlight. Same right here. Because acrylic dries darker, so it's always good to adjust the colors once the paint is dry. There. And it doesn't really have to go all the way down. So this highlight I'm putting on top is just for the top part. Same here. Let's do the same. A couple, maybe a couple that are a different color, different shade. Same here. And that's it. Really, we shouldn't be working too much on this. Now, I think the boat is dry, so I'm going to take a bit of more red and burnt sienna, of course. Same for the door. A little bit of red and burnt sienna, top part. And that's it. All right, we're going to do the detail on top where the bird is and the lantern. So I'm taking titanium buff. I'm putting a bit of burnt umber in it to tone down my titanium buff. I always like to start with the darker color the darker value, and then I highlight part of it. So this is a round brush, titanium buff, burnt umber, and I'm gonna put detail right here. And this top. All right, you can hardly see it right now because it is a light color and it's wet. So once it's dry, you'll see it better. Let's do the other side. All right, so I lost the bird, but I'm gonna put it right now. It's a bird done in, it's a stone. It's not real bird. A little bit of a stand. Then I'm gonna take this, go all the way. Again. These are little interesting details that add a bit of whimsical touch to the painting. While I'm doing this, right here where the lantern is, I'm gonna have, again, that little bit of a loop. I'll try to adjust this because this is too much. If I can remove the paint, scrape it off a bit. If not, I can always use green, use a negative painting. To adjust my lantern holder. Okay, it's good. I think I did it. Let's take a, this is a tiny, tiny little lantern. There. Done. Right, so now this part is dry, so I can go back and take just titanium buff, nothing else, and actually a little bit of white, tiny bit of white, because titanium buff is going to dry darker, whatever, no matter what I do, it's going to dry darker. So if I want a bit of highlights, I'm going to take white, put white in it. A bit of white, not much. Mix it with my titanium buff, not only white. It's white with titanium buff. I'm going to come here, work on that bird. And you can see that it's really a strong color. I can see it, the value is really light, so it's perfect. And also the same, if I need to fix it up a bit, I can use some green from the tree and fix this, the shape of the bird using negative painting. All right, again, let's do that. It will dry darker. And if it doesn't, I can always glaze it with a darker color and it'll be fine. Actually, I will glaze it, I think. I'll glaze the bottom part only. Move on to this. All right. It's a little cone. Looks like a cone. It's very hard to see right now. Just a cone sitting on a, here. See it better this way. So I'm going to adjust, and I think I have a bit of green here. Yes, I do. Excellent. I'm going to take some green from this jar. It's leftover green that I had before. And I'm just going to go around the bird and try to adjust the shape a bit. That's great. There. Beautiful. Now, again, let's do that right here. I think the trick is to have a good round brush, small one. These brushes are not expensive. Princeton, Snap, not expensive at all, but they do the job. I'm going to do the same, highlighting this a bit. Lantern. I will not highlight the part, this part, leave it dark. I'm going to take a bit of brown, mix it with my titanium white and titanium buff, and darken this part here, just here. This part, there. Oh, sorry, just bring it down so you see it better without the strong light. Right, very nice. So let's do one more thing. Mistake white or white with titanium buff and a bit of white right here. White and titanium buff. I'm gonna show the back of this boat. So I'm gonna do this. Perfect. For the windows, I'm using cerulean blue. This is cerulean blue, and I put a tiny bit of burnt umber in it to make it darker. I'm going to come here and just put the color for the windows. This blue in. Same for this one. I'm going to take this and do a dark blue behind that awning. I guess this blue here behind the awning is going to stay dark. We don't need to highlight it. Or we can highlight half of it. But now, stick some white. And I'm going to take my brown brush, cerulean blue, white. And I'm going to put a suggestion now. This window, the way I'm going to do it with the highlight, I'm not going to take the highlight all the way up. I'm going to start my highlight from here down. So I'm just going to do this. Again. And short one at the bottom. Or you could just make two. Just kind of leave a bit of that top part darker. Same with this one here. I'm going to take it and put some highlights right there. Just a suggestion of a highlight. Now for the awning, I'm just going to take cerulean blue and white, or we could put some other color there too. And it doesn't have to be cerulean blue and white. It could be phthalo blue and white, any turquoise blue, any color you like. Actually, let's put one here for this lantern. Some blue. And a bit of blue here. One line of blue here. Then let's take some of this blue and just put a line in here of light blue. This titanium, cerulean blue and white. Darker at the back, lighter at the front. Now, This is a bit too dark because it dries. It's drying darker, you know. So I'm going to take a bit of titanium, cerulean blue, a little bit of white in my cerulean blue, not much. And I'm just going to put a bit of a suggestion of panels in the back. Glass panels, window. Just a suggestion like that. Very, very simple. I'm just gonna keep this very simple. I'm gonna use the same colors, cerulean blue and white. And let's put line. And another one. Actually, let's do this all in, let's do it in blue. And then I'll put a white stripe in there. Some white stripes. It's painted. This way it's easier to paint. We don't have to deal with too many. Because this is like 8 by 10, it's really small. So detail is not easy on these. I know I used blue for the railing. I might try some of the color of the roof here. If you have done yours already and it's in blue, please keep it. Don't change it. There's no need to change. This way you will have another version of the blue or the railing color. All right, I'm gonna let this blue on the awning, I'm gonna let it dry. Meanwhile, I will get browns. Some red. Let's see if I can do it freehand. Let's put a bit of more brown here because it's against a door that's red. So let's put some more brown so we can see it. Doesn't have to be very strong. 2 dots, 3 dots, and a dot right here. All right, let's take Let's do those swirls. They're random. They're just, I'm putting them randomly. If you have a acrylic pen, use an acrylic pen with these. You don't have to use a brush. It's the same. Take a bit of darker burnt umber in here, a little bit of a darker color, darker value. Okay, I'm gonna just add a couple of, they don't have to be clear. By the time it's dry, if I find that it's not clear enough, then I can add a bit of more, but I think it should be okay. Okay. Let's go back to the awning. The blue is dry now. I'm gonna take some white, mix it with a bit of blue. So it's not just dark white. It's a light kind of bluish color. And I'm just gonna put some lines in here. Really, it doesn't have to be perfect. But this little kind of, this is a really small it's like a miniature. Okay, we're good. Our little house in the ocean is done. Very hard to do a straight line when you have medium behind it. Okay, what else do we need to adjust? Maybe a bit of more white. On the lantern part. Good. We're done. Unless I missed something. But I guess we are done. Right.